Well, this is Baruch Fleischman here, and I'm at the Tikkun Elevator Kollel, and if you're looking at the video here, this is part 6. It's a technique taught by the Baal Shem Tov, and I think the first thing I should say is let's understand that the Kabbalists have techniques. So it's Rabbi Mimran began by talking about monkey talk, learning to quiet our thinking. It's a very difficult thing to do, but if we know that it's available and we could try it, difficult situations are during our day, because we're constantly in defensive mode, driving around, doing your business, interacting with colleagues and your family, and so on and so forth. All of this promotes defensiveness. It's just possible to step back from that and look at your thinking. That's what he said over there. Now we're coming to something a little more concrete. I don't know how this is going to go, but he says we're talking about a technique for rising beyond. So this is a technique taught by the Baal Shem Tov. And now we're going to read it, and it regards, let me just drop down here, and he says that this is written by a man by the name of Rav Volvi. He's a student of the Ramchal, the Sefer called Sefer Brit. I don't know where Mimran found this, but beautiful. So what he quotes is, just as Moshe, our teacher, went up and was elevated. So understand this. This is the Tikkun elevator. Similarly, all of Israel is able to ride that self-same elevator, these are my words, to rise up and attach to above. We can rise up and fix ourselves up to what is on the Most High. So now let's see, the Baal Shem Tov. In Parshas Noach, Sefer Amu, I don't know if there's something missing there, I'm not familiar with it. I think it's Amud HaTfilah, that's what I think it is. I think it's a Dalet, not sure. In prayer, so he writes like this: we need to know that letters, Hebrew letters, have tremendous power. And we see this, and we're going to see it more and more in we're starting the Sifra that's Niyuta. So he says, in prayer one must place all their power in the words. Pirush HaMilim. One must go from letter to letter. Now he says not word to word, from letter to letter until one forgets the physical world. And that is a possibility. This is meditation. Within the midst of these letters, contemplate how the letters are binding together and interacting one with another. This causes great pleasure. When you do this, you're going to love it. It causes great pleasure on the physical plane, and all the more so in the spiritual planes. From a Kabbalistic point of view, prayer is meditation. So we call it meditation, but it's commonly called prayer. But prayer is really meditation. Therefore, to contemplate the words of prayer, letter by letter, so therefore if you start thinking about the words themselves, but you look at the letter, one letter to the next, now, while it takes effort, which it does, enables the one who prays that if you're doing this, to connect to a very powerful spiritual energy that is latent within the Hebrew letters. Now, latent within the Hebrew letters means that the letters are really alive, that there's a panemius of the Ein Sof Baruch Hu, which is inside of the letters. It releases a tremendous amount of spiritual energy. Now, he says contact with this energy, so that if you're doing this, this actually produces a lot of energy. Contact with this energy tends to be emotionally charging. Okay, so that apparently, if we look back here just for 1 second, this was number 16. I don't know number 16 to what, but that's the way Rabbi Mimran wrote it. Number 56. Let me bring it down a little bit here. Here we go. So number 6 is, this is a phrase that I heard Rabbi Mimran say a lot. He says, where you think is where you are. What you're thinking about is who you are. Therefore, the projection of our imaginations, as we're doing this technique, is what I'm thinking. When properly focused on this technique, with pure intent and properly manifested through correct speech, you say the letters properly, creates the energy vortex, I guess it means of different energies coming together, that unites the physical with the spiritual dimensions. Now, that might be a lot, but, you could take a moment and think about it. Therefore, the daily prayer is far more than mere words. It is the pillar upon which rest the physical and spiritual universes. Wisely did our sages speak when they said that prayer stands in the loftiest place in the universe, because it is in fact the elevator that has the ability to take us to the Most High. In the Ethics of the Fathers, of Pirkei Avos, we are told that the world stands on three things: Torah, Avoda, which means worship, and Gemilah Chasadim, which means acts of loving kindness. These are three great spiritual forces, and in fact they are the foundation of the world, the pillars that uphold the whole of existence. So he says, what? Torah? That the fact that we pray and we know how to do something nice. Avoda. So he says, let's look at Avoda, which is worship, is the second pillar. For the rabbis, Avoda meant prayer. They called prayer Avoda Shebelev. They call it, prayer was called the worship of the heart. Prayer takes the place of the worship in the temple. The words of prayer build a bridge between God and man. Prayer. One should contemplate in prayer that one is arousing the same letters that were used in creating the heavens and the earth, which means that he's stating you a postulate, that the letters themselves created the heavens and the earth. And also, not just that, all the created things above and below. Thus, therefore, when we recite our prayers and praising, and we are in the midst of our prayers, what are we actually doing? We are harmonizing with all of the worlds and all that was created, because we are using the letters of creation. You are rousing the letters because there's a panemius in the letters themselves, but you need to arouse the letters. We can understand letters. What's inside the letters, that's another story. We arouse that, and it's manifest through these letters. The letters are the life force of all that is created. Thus, with everything that you say with this intent, so every time you have this intent to try to connect the forces of creation that are in the letters of the word, you elevate all that was created in the heavens and upon the earth. He has this little vort down here at the bottom, which is not easy to see right at this moment. Let me see if I can make it so I can get to it. So he says, where you think, and this is a really big idea, is where you are. Therefore, the projection of our imaginations, when properly focused, so in other words, you're thinking about what you're looking at with pure intent and properly manifest through correct speech. If you're having to say the letters, you're saying the word, you're saying the letters, creates the energy vortex that unites the physical with the spiritual dimensions. Well, this is Baruch Fleischman. This is the Tikkun Elevator Kollel, saying the shir also on the Vegas network of Rabbi Mimran, that I'm Zoche to have access to. Thank you very much for listening.